we have a household of two superintendents, so that can be good and that can be bad too, especially you know when you get in debates or you're talking about things that can be heated. So a little bit about me professionally. Before that, I was a elementary principal for 4 years, and then I was a third grade and a junior high teacher for roughly 13 years. So I think I have about 27 years total in education. Um, I came from an education family. My father was a principal. My mother was a first grade teacher, so it's kind of in my blood. Before that, my grandmother, if she was alive today, she'd been 120. She went to Defiance College, and back in when she taught in a one-room schoolhouse. So that's kind of an interesting take on things. Um, you, I just want to commend all of you for going into administration. Part of my dissertation, and we had it was actually broken up into your dissertation and then a topic. And one of the things that I discussed was developing the next generation of leaders. What you're going to find is it's the same thing as what's going on with teaching. We just have fewer and fewer people going into education anymore. Um, uh, when I first got into administration, I would have a elementary opening, and I would have roughly 80 or 90 people apply for that job, for that teaching job. Now I'm lucky to get 15 to 20, and it's it's challenging. Even administration, I think when I first, even in administration, you would get 40, 50 applicants for a principal position or a director's position, and it was pretty competitive. Recently I just posted a curriculum director position in my district, and I had 15, and I shared that with my colleagues today, and they thought that was amazing. We had 15 applicants for that position. So um, I'll tell you that it's very important that we're getting quality people into leadership. Um, and for you to get jobs, it's a very good time to be doing this. Um, depends on what you want to do, where you want to go with things. Once you, best advice my father ever gave me was get as much out of teaching as you possibly can, because once you start going into administration, it's very tough and difficult to go backwards. So if you're thinking about a 35-year career, and you get like take me for instance at 13. I'm 13 years in education. Think I know quite a bit, and now that I've been in administration, I miss the kids. I miss those things. And, could I have done a few more years teaching? Of course I could, but, it's still up now, and um, not going backwards with that. So I just would encourage you, where you're at in your career, just kind of think about those kind of things. But you have a tremendous opportunity in front of you with this. Um, and I'm going to tell you that no matter what you do, no matter what courses you've had. I took the same kind of courses. It's kind of like that first teaching job you got, and that door closed behind you. All the things that you learned in that course, you were on your own. It seemed like they tried to prepare you the best they could, but when that door closed, everything went away, and you just had to rely on a lot of natural instincts and the things, and then you just became a better teacher. Um, Administration, lonely world. You're on an island by yourself all the time. So, what I want to do with this course, and this is something I've been talking with some other professors at Defiance, is I want to make this as meaningful to you as it can. Because I think when you first get into administration and you take that first principal's job, you know, I had 7 colleagues that in my grade level that I taught. I can go to them and ask a lot of questions. When you're building principal, it's pretty lonely who you're going to be able to go to and talk to on things, and it's um, that can be a real challenge. So you're going to need to know where to find those answers. You're going to need to know how to provide those answers, and you want to be that resource for your teachers, And sometimes it's fair enough for them to see that you're human, and you don't have to have all the answers. You got to know how to try to find those answers and then try to help them. So what I want to do with this course is I want to tie as much as we can into real life things. So when you get that first administrative job, that you're going to be able to go know where you can find some things, where you can um, where you can get some of those resources. And the best the best things in the world is to ask some of your colleagues. You know, especially people that have been in principal for a few years. You're gonna have some of those learning groups that you're going to be with, and we get together. I just got together with a bunch of superintendents today, and our best conversations are, what's going on, what problems are we having, and then we could talk and share, and we have people that we can lean on. So, and I would encourage you. We're going to take that same approach in this class. That's one reason I'd like to do this. Is this is a chance that we're going to be applying some of the resources that we have in our districts to real life things that you're going to be dealing with in this. So, it's going to be pretty important for you to develop your culture when you become that administrative leader. I will tell you as well that today is as challenging as I've had in 27 years in leadership, in education. You know, you turn on the news from politics and you're seeing what's going on, and I'm sure in your districts you're feeling it as well. Um, you know, people, it's a different world than it was when I first got into education, and I don't, it, I want to remain positive, but it can be a real challenge right now, and especially coming off COVID. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but what we're seeing is seems like people are losing their minds right now, both educators as well as students and parents, and you feel very lonely, and you feel like and people are questioning, and that's part of the reason why people are not going into education. So, um, I think you're going to be tasked with you're going to have that task of how do you bring people together? How do you create the culture that you want to do? How do you try to um, get rid of some of those distractions that you're going to have, and get people to be focused, and get people, why you went into education, get people back to their true north. And sometimes it's those gentle reminders that are important. Um, you know, one of the things that I want to do here is we'll talk about some things. I want to take you. What I want to do today is I want to take you through some of the resources that I provided for you. Those are just some of the main resources that we use in my district, and there's a bunch of others, but and I'm sure in your district you have them as well. So I want to kind of talk about those, kind of start sharing some of those, because those are some of the things that we're going to use in some future projects and assignments. Just to be able to, and I want to make those as real life of, from staff meetings, how you would conduct a staff meeting, to interactions with, if you're going to be doing TBTs or DLTs, how are you going to run those? So we'll kind of go through some of those today, and um, um, I think what I also would like just to do is, I want to view you as colleagues in all this. So you have your experiences, I have my experiences. We got people from Dayton, Cincinnati, Defiance. I'm in Napoleon, so we have a pretty wide range um, of people here today, and pretty wide range of experiences. So let's kind of pull on those um, and discuss those. Um, First things, does anybody have any questions over anything so far, or any comments? I don't want to sit here and talk all the time. I mean, I would like you guys to be able to chime in and just tell me what are some thoughts that you're feeling in education. What do what are you seeing as the climate in your districts and your buildings right now? How about this? Maybe Beth. Maybe I'll just say Jennifer. You've been very helpful. Why don't you go first? What are you seeing in your building right now?
I think everyone right now is in kind of a state of exhaustion, to be quite honest. I think everyone's kind of ran down through this year. I feel like our kind of culture is just kind of, we've had a lot of changes in our district office. We have a new superintendent, a new assistant superintendent, a new curriculum director, a new business of operations person. We have just a lot of change going on right now. And while they've done a great job of transitioning, I think, also we have new board members. So it's just been a lot of turnover this year and just trying to figure out where everything shakes out amidst COVID. It's just been another weird year. Every year we're like, well, this is going to be another weird year. So hopefully next year we'll step off and it'll be a normal year, is kind of where everyone would like to be. But I think right now everyone's just kind of ready for a little bit of a break.
You haven't had one, have we?
Mm-mm.
It's been nonstop. Bethany.
All right, so I am entering my 25th year in Dayton Public Schools District, which is an inner city district. And this year by far has been the most challenging. We have had turnover like I had never seen before. We've had teachers just leave at the end of a school day and just walk out. We've had parents that have pulled their students out of school because they're not happy with the progress of their child, not understanding that, they are behind. We need their support. The frustration is there between the administrators, the teachers, the parents. The students are acting out. They're tired. We are in the middle of testing season. So we've gone from the Ohio State test to MAP testing to DIBELS testing, and our OELPAs have been in there. And it's been a solid 2 months of just testing. And we're ready for a break. But, like I said, the turnover is something that I've never seen before. And I've been there a very long time. And our young teachers are not staying. So I'm hopeful that something will change, that we can retain our teachers and our veteran teachers as well.
Well, if you think about it now, just put things into perspective. 27 years ago when I started, I was making, I think I came in at $26,000 a year as a first-year teacher. I think in 26 years, that starting pay has gone up from $26,000 to roughly about $39,000, $40,000. We haven't even kept up with, any other profession that's out there. And, I think that's why we have less people that are going into it, especially when you look at it as costs on, your investment on return from college. Your that's getting higher. And, people are saying, why would I go in to make that kind of money when I can go any other field and make double that starting out of college? Yeah. And people are making those choices earlier and earlier now, Bethany. You're absolutely right. All right, Holly, what are you seeing, Holly?
Kind of very similar to what the other two ladies said. We actually started later this year after Labor Day. I'm in Medina County, and sorry, my puppy keeps jumping on me. So we aren't done with school until June 12th. So we still have a long ways to go. So already we have 5 weeks, and we just finished state testing, and everybody's kind of just done. And the kids now are like, well, I just did all my state testing, so why should I have to try on everything now? So it's teachers still trying to get them ready for the next grade, because I'm at middle school, learning new things still, and our behaviors have gone rapid, and our administration's kind of having a hard time taming it. There's really not a lot of behavior plans put into place for students that really need it. It's more so put completely on the teachers and intervention specialists. So I'm an intervention specialist, so there's kind of been a lot of frustration with our admin there. because even when we put these plans in and admin signs off on it, things aren't followed through. So there's just a lot of frustration going around. We are also in a bargaining year, so we're going to our board in I think 3 weeks, and I'm a part of that. So it just feels like my days are longer and longer every day trying to get ready for that and not really knowing what to expect going into that. So yeah, that's really kind of, I think everybody's kind of in the same boat right now.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing with negotiations too. When you talk about climate, that really has an impact on a kind of a district.
Yes.
You know, just hope everything goes well for you, Holly. With that,
Thank you.
that can be an interesting experience if you've never done it.
Yes.
All right, Carissa.
Holly, I'm actually sitting at the negotiation table right now. We've been in for 2 days now. So it's been very interesting. This is my first time sitting at that table. So Godspeed, good luck as you start approaching it. So I am in Lima, Ohio. I teach at Elida, actually JC up there in one of the videos. You can chime in if you feel necessary, if anything I'm saying is crazy, because we work together. But one of the things that our district has been trying to improve has been climate and culture over the past about 5 or 6 years with PBIS. I know that's an initiative that's starting to come pipeline at a lot of different schools. And I was recently put in charge of PBIS. So that's not only with students, but that's also kind of with staff as well. We're feeling the same burnout, the same exhaustion. We're having turnover, but it's predominantly at the end of the school year. So I've been sitting in on interviews as well, trying to find the best fit for our district. Like I said, sitting at the negotiation table, there's frustration, there's miscommunications, there's lack of communication, that we're all trying to get on the same page. When I was sitting in a DLT meeting a couple months ago, maybe, one of the elementary administrators brought up that while we're so concerned about the gaps in testing and the gaps in achievement between the COVID years, one of the things that we're starting to realize is the gaps in behavior and training behaviors and training expectations to students, that it's almost becoming more important for us to focus on student behaviors than it is some of the student academics. Because it's getting almost impossible for some of us to continue to teach with the behaviors that we're starting to see. And I can only imagine what all of you are seeing in elementary schools based off your introductions. So I think one of the things that, we can kind of build on is the getting staff and administration all on the same page and trying to be in it for the kids, regardless of some of the other stuff that we're facing, as the adults, because hopefully we can handle it maybe a little bit better than the kids can. So trying to balance all of that as well. So.
Yeah, Chris, I spent 13 years at Allen East, so I know Lima Land pretty well. So, yeah. Well, good luck with negotiations, and actually, I know quite a few people in Elida, so that's always it's an interesting makeup of a district too, and I think that comes into a lot because you guys tap into the north end of Lima, where you have a lot of low-income housing, and then you got suburbs out, and you even got Mennonite components are Dunkard, almost to the far extreme of conservatism. So, hey, you guys got the wide range over there.
Yeah, trying to balance all of it has been pretty interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right, thank you, Chris. Jason.
Yeah, so I go by JC, by the way. Hope I'm not glitching out a little bit. I was having some bad internet. Yeah, I'm at the same school as Carissa. As I said in my introduction, I came from a much larger school district where I was teaching at down in Southern Maryland. So we were county school districts there. So we had to have a lot more coordination down there with 7 high schools. So coming to Elida, I luckily came in at a very good time where we were kind of really trying to push some initiatives of really making sure that we were aligned across the board. So frustrations in the culture that I was experiencing in my time was really trying to get my math department kind of on the exact same page and really trying to show the teachers across the whole district that the curriculum moves that we were making of creating scope and sequence guides and deconstructing standards wasn't just some new initiative. Because I know how many times teachers get a brand new initiative thrown at them all the time, and they're like, oh, this is just something new right now. It's going to fall to the wayside in a couple of years. And a lot of them just kind of didn't really want to buy into it. So it took a while, and they're starting to be able to buy into it now. But just them, trying to get everybody on the same page to realize that some of the newer initiatives that we're doing and that I'm working with my curriculum director on, are just common sense procedures that we're going to continue, and it's going to be that curriculum process being very cyclical as it goes. So that's just what I'm dealing with right now, especially moving up to the new role that I'm moving into next year, being instructional coach for the district.
All right, Andrew.
Yeah, so I kind of echo, a lot of what everyone else says. Especially, I teach in the same district as Jen, so definitely a lot of that change at the district level and the trickle down effect that has. So I teach at the high school, and so a lot of that trickle down effect is, to JC's point, a lot of teachers kind of say, hey, it's a new thing, it's a new, whatever, it'll be gone in 2 years, and then you combine that with the burnout everyone's talking about, and then you combine that with things like specifically Chris was talking about PBIS, and I know our district, at least the high schools, recently talked a lot about PBIS, and a lot of teachers, especially veteran teachers, are more like, here we go again, and here's this and that, and so it's just, I feel like there's a lot of negativity, I guess, just around education in general, whether that be from staff, admins, district, parents, boards, kids, and so it's just I don't know if it's a trickle from all the dealings with COVID, and I don't know if it's a combination of that with people's mental health being severely affected by COVID, which I think is a long-term effect that we're going to keep seeing. But something like PBIS, to that point, is critical, because I think behavior is something that is of utmost importance right now with kids and how they're reacting to dealing with COVID for 2 years, essentially, right? And so it's just all these things combined. To Jennifer's point, I think we're all ready for a break. And so there's that, but I think we also need to kind of evaluate how we can better move things forward overall.
You're exactly right, Andrew. Amy.
So in my district, we're dealing with kind of some of the similar stuff of what you were talking about, Jennifer. We've had a superintendent who was with us many years ago, and he is back now, and he was just yesterday he learned he applied for a state position, and he was one of two, and he did not get it, so I think he'll still be with us next year. In our district, in my school, I teach first grade intervention specialist in Springboro. We are seeing just an incredible amount of low kids. Our resource room is the highest numbers in my building that we have ever seen, historic-wise. It's just that and the behavior. We have this year, for next year, we hired an additional BCBA, so board certified behavior analysis. So we will have two of the BCBAs. We also have hired 2 intervention specialists for behavior as well, because behavior is just, and we don't know if this is just part of that mental health part that's going on with COVID. We're just not really sure. And then we've had some turnover, curriculum director, a new one, bringing in, new information for us too. A lot of programs being switched up. Teachers are very unhappy about this. So it's been an interesting year.
Yeah, especially, an interesting thing, we brought light to is, right now we got our elementary classes are going on field trips. This is the first time second graders have been on a field trip. To know how to be on a bus, to know how to see things outside of your district, put things into perspective. That's pretty amazing on these kids, that what the last 3 years have really done. Special ed numbers are increasing. I think right now, I don't think we really truly saw the effects of virtual being virtual and being out and what that's had on everybody. So, especially the young ones, especially the developmental, or how important it is to learn how to read and having that. It's little things that people don't think of. The masks. You know, how do kids learn to read when they can't see faces? You know, yeah, Amy, we're feeling it. I think we're all feeling that. Brianna.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. It's actually Brianna. I just had to correct you there because I've heard it all through education. So my perspective is a little bit different. I work for Lancaster City Schools. I am a teacher and a licensed intervention specialist. Our classrooms are made up of 50% typical children and 50% children who receive special education. We actually were completely in person, a regular as scheduled for the last few years. We were the only program in our district to be open for in-person learning, and it's basically because of all those things that were mentioned about what the kids missed out on and how their development is basically delayed because of COVID and because of the lack of structure and routine and academics. We knew being, around early intervention and early development that we had to get them in person. Over the screen wasn't going to be the best for them. So that alone was really difficult to navigate. We have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Some children do have, they are on the spectrum. Some children have multiple handicaps, mobility issues. So we had to kind of figure that all out on the roll while we had a supervisor change. And that in itself has created a negative culture surrounding our program, which is also my drive to be brought up into the leadership role.
So you said preschool, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Now I got you. We were on the message board. I was talking about that. That's preschools. I'll tell you, I want preschool to be mandated. You know.
Yes.
How important preschool is, especially to help erase the effects that poverty have on education. Mm-hmm. It's the preschool opportunities are essential.
Yes.
And I don't know why we're waiting as long as we do.
We're starting to get some recognition. We just need more push from all of you guys, because what we do,
All right. They can cut out on us a little bit. How about Vic? I'm kind of all over. Everybody's screens moved around. Victor?
Hi, how are you? I don't think I was here for introduction. So, hi, everyone. I'm Victor. I'm an intervention specialist with the Aurora City School District in Aurora, Ohio. We are located in Portage County. I would say it's almost the midpoint in between Cleveland and Akron, if you're not familiar with the area. So I think our district right now, I would echo, I think it's Bethany and Jennifer's point where the exhaustion is absolutely noticeable. I'm not sure how everyone else thinks, but I actually believe this year has been much more difficult than last year, and with regards to a lot of different aspects. I will say though, I think our building admin is doing a really good job of reading the room and supporting staff as much as they can. And I know a lot of staff is kind of, we need the break. We're looking for the last day, but our admin's really pushing, what can you do in these final 11, 12 days that we have to make a difference? Or, what can we do to leave a mark for the class of 2022? I'm at the high school. We are a high-performing school district, and this is my 4th year with Aurora, and we're losing a lot of teachers, specifically at the high school this year. And that to me is alarming and concerning. we already have a shortage, I think, in the state of Ohio for school psychologists, speech pathologists, and supposedly by 2023, intervention specialists is going to be added to that list. So that's a legitimate concern. We recently had a posting for intervention specialists for the middle school, and we had 7 candidates. And when I came in 4 years ago, we had over 130 candidates for my position that posted at the time. So that's a significant drop. Speaking for staff, I just think everyone is kind of, like I said, just waiting to get out. We have 11 days left, and we have a lot going on in the month of May, everything from AP testing to baccalaureate, graduation activities. It's definitely a busy and stressful month, but I will say that I am grateful for building leadership to be able to read the room and act accordingly.
All right. Thank you, Victor. I think Jennifer is, I think you might be the last one. Jennifer?
I started us.
Oh, see, we're already there. Now I see that. Okay, we're back. All right. Is anybody on that I maybe didn't get the opportunity? Well, I think this is interesting because we have people from Cleveland all the way down to Springboro to rural to, it sounds like people are exhausted. Sounds like culture in every school district right now is down. Some places worse than others. And I guess the purpose of what I wanted to just have a talk with on this was just to get perspectives. I think what's glaring is you can kind of see just education by itself is and sometimes people think, my district, it's just local here, but I want to show that this is the same feelings that we have all around the state. We're all feeling that right now. And the one thing I want to challenge you with is remember your administrators, your principals, they're the same boat. They're feeling the exact same way. They're human too. And they're going through this, and it's not always how, when you're feeling like quicksand, and the more you fight and struggle, the more you sink. And I guess that's how a lot of people are feeling right now. So, with this class talking about culture is we got a tremendous challenge ahead of us, but we can also look at it as a tremendous opportunity. And once we start getting into some things as well, I want you to kind of think of, don't always look at it as, when you're trying to think about how to change culture, about a positive administrator that you had in your district. I'm not even going to say administrator, positive leader. It could have been a teacher. I want you to also think about some of those ones that you learned as much what you don't want to be. I think we all, if you've been in education long enough, those people that you've learned that you don't want to be that kind of leader, or you don't want to be that kind of person. I think sometimes we learn more about that than we do from the positives, because we just take the positives for granted. So I want you to challenge yourself that actually, I got an actually I was a principal, a superintendent it was about that individual, and he would throw you under the bus. He would throw teachers under the bus. He would throw, it was just bad, toxic culture. And my leadership, I learned more from him than I did from some of the great ones that I've worked with as well. So think about that, and sometimes take some of your experience as a teacher and some of your colleagues, and the good and the bad, and that's going to help shape who you are today. So it's an interesting thing. I feel bad for you all. It's you guys pour your heart and soul into this, and it just feels like you're just spinning your wheels sometimes. And right now, it's okay. What I want to kind of do now is I want to kind of start sharing some of the. Did anybody get a chance to look at the just a list of the different resources that I provided in there. The one I want to kind of focus on today is the board docs. How many of you, if you can, just raise your hand on your thing. If you guys use Neola for your board policies, are you guys all?
Yeah. Is that the board docs?
Board docs.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay. Just a little history lesson. Back in the day, superintendents were the ones that used policies, and that's when legislature didn't always try to legislate education like they are today. So they didn't have to do that very often. But today, just the typical, if you look at your board policy I provided, and I'll kind of pull those up. We do, just people might not know, but as a district, we do 4 updates a year to our board policies. And sometimes that can range from 10, 12. And usually why they update them is there's been a change in laws, or it could have been a ruling in the courts, or it could be a variety of those legal things that they've kind of updated. So we update those 4. So people are like, how do you keep your head above water with all the changes and all the things that are going on? And that's part of the reason I want to show you this, because you're going to have ideas on climate. You're going to have ideas in all your other classes, but what you're going to be able to do with board docs or with provided here is you're going to be able to go see what is in your board policy. What are the things that how does your board? I might have an idea and I might just go with it, but it might be against what the policy is saying, right? And we don't want to start down that road. So use board policy is kind of that. So I'm going to kind of, if you don't mind, I'm going to take us through. Hold on here. I'm getting. All right. Are we there? Can you see it? Okay. I want to take you down. Let's go to the first one. I'm going to go to, first of all, I'm going to hit by that. Looks like the blue screen right now. Everybody still see the screen?
Yes, you're showing.
All right. Now, a lot of times what we'll do, and each school might be a little different. If you go to the Board of Education, you're going to see that we have all our educational policies up here, okay? Now, many schools use the same thing. So if you can click on that. A lot of times you have to publicly display them, okay? So this is our link. I have made our link for our board docs applicable to or accessible by anybody. You can get on right now, or parents can get on and say, okay, what's the school's policy on this? And they kind of break it up by the different things, but there's a cool little feature here where you can search. So let's just say, I want to talk about, let's just say, transportation. Let's just say transportation. And as you can see, this click down right here where my cursor is, that's our policy manual. So this is what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through just our policies. So if I go through transportation, it's going to just search for all the things that we're going to find that as regards to transportation. And I can click on any one of those field district sponsored events, and it'll list out what they all are. Okay, and you can print these, you can copy, It's a great way to actually see, and these are the most updated ones you have. As a principal too, one of the nice features they have is we can also get these put into, there's actually staff and student handbooks that develop, and they'll pull in the pieces that are here in our board policy over to it. So, when we start getting into some things, especially about culture, right? You could be, that could be a series of different things. It could be about race. It could be about, right now it's the transgender. It could be all these different issues, and you want to know where your school is going to stand. So a lot of times you can find those. Now, if you look down, there's another one here. Okay, so these are the board, and they kind of tell you that. Now, as an administrator, there's another thing called a administrative guidelines. Okay, so basically, is we can read these policies, but the question is how, as a district, are your administrators going to handle these policies? And these administrative guidelines, you can go here, and it could tell you the same kind of thing. So students, let's go to what's a state? Let's go to early dismissal. Okay, so in early dismissal, you'll notice that the 5230 board policy, there's also a 5230 administrative guidelines. So it'll tell you this is going to be different from the board policy. This is actually tell you how schools are going to be able to utilize these. Okay. So you can kind of go through. Board of Education policy requires the following guidelines to be followed for early dismissal, and it tells you what you need to be doing. So this is kind of like for a lot of administrators, you can actually make sure that you're following board policy and the things that you're doing. Here, another interesting feature that you could be there. What do I say? 5230. There's a form manual. So if I can go here, this is actual district forms. Oh, they don't have one for that one. Like I can go back to student forms, and I can find different forms that are going to be that match our board policy and match our administrative guidelines. So let's just say you have an accident report. It'll actually pull up the form that you use that matches your board policy. So my point with all this is a tremendous resource that you can use to make sure that when you become a building principal, this is going to be basically your go-to. You're going to be checking your policies and your guidelines and your forms to make sure you are doing what we're supposed to be doing. Like when I came in my current position, we didn't have any administrative guidelines or forms. The only thing we had were, and I ran into an issue where we had a longtime basketball coach that they wanted to name the gym floor after. Okay, now we got a policy on the naming of facilities, but what we didn't have is the process by which we're going to go about doing it. So that is something that when I came in my position, I made sure that we added the administrative guideline manual that basically would help us work through those kind of things. Okay. Does anybody have any questions over the policies, guidelines, and forms? This is just something that you're going to be using a little bit. You can just reference this and feel free to use my district's one that I provided as well. What you're going to find is districts, the forms, the policies, the guidelines are very similar to one another. They might just have changes here and there. So it's kind of tailored to your individual district. But it's a great manual. It's a great way that, when you start looking to see, okay, if you're having this happen, you're be talking about a topic that, with your staff and building culture, you're going to want to make sure you're doing things in the right direction. You don't want to be going against board policies. You don't want to be so these are the kind of things that it's a quick access for you. Okay. All right. Let me go to another one here. This is the one I think that and I don't know if you noticed this, but this was my one link that I had here. And you're going to say, "What, Eric? Why did you put this in in this class?" But I want to kind of show this. This is something that we started, and what we wanted to do is we have to acknowledge the effects of the mental health of our students and our staff. In 27 years of education, when my board asked me what's our biggest threats to our district, I will, without a hesitation, I will tell them the mental health of our students and our staff right now. What we did is 3 years ago, when I first got there, if you remember, the governor put in part of his funding formula wellness funds. Some districts use those funds to pay guidance counselors, to offset salaries, to do different things. What we decided to do is we decided to put all that money to have access for our counselors to, bring in therapists, we have a therapy dog, trauma-informed care, you name it, right? There's so many different things that we need. We just don't have time for, and we had to start making a priority. So I think we had over $500,000 that are in here that we want to be able to use to help our students out. When we talk about climate, to me, I thought this was very important. And the reason I want to share this with you is we actually came up with a mental health and wellness plan, a framework, and we went down and we presented down in Columbus, the state capitol conference, and just the feelings for people. We had a full house that watched us present. And you could see that this was on the minds of a lot of people. So when we're talking about climate, I think this is something that we need to really take into consideration. So I encourage you, feel free to use this. And you can kind of even see down here where I'm at right now, we actually shows you how we budgeted some of the things. And one of the things that we want to do, we want to make sure that yearly we come back and we re-hit this budget and be able to do the things that we need to do to help our people. Asked me 10 years ago if this was the biggest threat to education, I'll tell you that. So some of the things too that, let's see what else here. I'm not going to go through all of it. I just want to our ESC. If you guys have local ESC, sometimes they have some pretty good resources that you can pull from. This was we have some different plans that are on. One of the ones I have here is you can go to this file, this survey before, but you can actually see collective bargaining agreements for every school district, and this was public access, so you can get in and actually view the contracts of everybody and everything that's out there. Because that's another thing that you got as a building principal. Some things that people don't think about, the Office of Civil Rights. And then I also linked a bunch of ODE resources in here as well as some of the principal evaluations, getting parents involved, absenteeism. An interesting one is that it's this last one down here. I have the Enos Britton. And that one just is kind of keep up on some of the legal updates. They put that out, and they kind of let you know what's going on in the laws that they're affecting education. So, um, so I'm going to use that same invite for other things. I think I just take the last few minutes here, just to kind of talk a little bit about maybe how these next summer classes are going to go. What I'd like to do is I'm posting an assignment that's going to be on Moodle. It's just going to be about a page and a half on this. What I'm just going to want you to do is just to come up with some of the considerations that are affecting culture. And I want you to kind of make this to where you're at some of your testimony that you can share today on some of those ethical considerations that we got to take in. What I'm going to do with some other things is what I'd like to do, and I want your feedback on this. Is I want to make this like whether it's going to be a staff meeting that I can have each of you be able to present a staff meeting and utilize some of these resources to help develop a staff meeting, an agenda for that staff meeting. Or, and another one we could be doing, you could have, give you scenarios. It's going to be an upset parent. It's going to be at possibly an IEP meeting with an irate parent, and how do you de-escalate the situation, and those kind. I want to kind of make this as real life as what you're going to have to do. One of the things that could be in a TBT, and you want a concept, or you want to you're introducing your new MCSS system for supports, tiered supports. How could you do that? And I could give you a situation where you have a veteran that doesn't want to change anything. So how do you get that person to come around? I mean, how do you work that and present those kind of things? So the things that I want you to do in this, use those resources that I've shared, and you're going to come up with a lot more. I'm not even touching the things out there, but these are the resources that you're going to kind of use when you get into administration. Like I said, you're going to be in that office, and you're going to have to find answers. You're going to have to find out ways that you're going to be dealing with some of these real climate issues that we're going to be talking about. You're going to go to find some of that information. You're going to be on your own a lot of times, or you're going to have colleagues. It's going to be a challenge, and I want to provide some of those for you, and I want to show you how we do some of those. So, just in some of the just in some of the grades, I'm going to make this pretty simple. I'm going to record these. It's going to be a trust factor. Joining us today, discussion boards, even discussion board, I'm going to have you reflect on maybe something that we did. And then majority of your points for this semester is going to be on some of these different projects that we're going to do. And then we'll try to make these as real life as we possibly can. And don't hesitate to ask. I mean, we have to have that growth mindset. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to learn. It's a safe environment that we can learn from those things and be able to ask the questions that we need to ask. And what are your experiences? Because we all can pull some of that in. I could ask anybody right now, how do you handle an upset parent at an IEP meeting? That wants the intended for that child. How do you handle that? How do you handle an advocate who shows up? There's just a lot of things that nothing prepares you for, but it's something we're all kind of doing. So that's the reason I'm not going to have all your answers, but I think we're going to get you to a process and by how you're going to be able to handle those kind of things. All right. Let's just kind of open the floor to you right now. Any kind of questions? Any kind of concerns things that you want to get out of this class, because I think we've identified we're in a difficult task with trying to do culture. And last advice I would like to share before I turn it over to you guys is I live by the motto: you spend a lifetime. You spend a lifetime building up your integrity, and all it takes as administrators one time that you lose it and it's gone forever. So, I just would encourage you, never ever lie. Be honest, be straightforward. You do those things, and you do things in the best interest of the kids and the people involved, and you can be very successful in what we're going to do. Okay. Have any feedback, anything that they're thinking of? I know you're going to reflect on a lot of this and you're going to think about it, but I'd like to, I said an hour. I'd like to kind of do some things less than an hour as we get going. Any feedback from you?
Can you tell us what the 10 hours are going to look like?
The 10 hours? What do you mean 10 hours?
So you know how we do the 40 hours each class, and then we have 10 hours attached to each class?
What do you, I mean, the amount of work? Is that what you're talking about? I guess I'm not familiar with what
the field experience.
Oh, who do you work with that, Amy?
What do you mean?
Your field experience. Who's your with your field experience? Is that Mr. Higgins, Dr. Higgins? Is he your professor?
So we always have 10 hours of field experience per class. So the professor comes up with, so this would be you, would come up with what we're going to do in those 10 hours. So like last time we interviewed all of related services and certain people in our building, and then we had to do a huge paper on it at the end. That was our last class.
Oh, so they actually, Mr. Yeah, I'll talk with him about what he wants to see, what they want to see through this. But my anticipation was that we're going to take you through live situations with you, and that's what it was going to be.
Okay.
If there's something different they're expecting, we can hit that.
Okay, and then my other question is, the only thing I can see coming up on my page is introduction and attendance for Google Meet. I have no other information.
Okay, I'll talk about it today. I'll make it active tonight when we're done, okay?
Okay.
How about in the future? What days work best for people? And like I said, I know you all have busy schedules, and I'm not anticipating that you all have to be there. But is there a time that, or day? I'd like to do it at the beginning of the week. That way we can kind of set everything that we're going to have for that week and be able to. If this time is a Wednesday, I would prefer to do a Monday or Tuesday if we could.
I vote Tuesday.
Are we good on a Tuesday? Is there a certain time of the evening that works best for people? I know with kids, we have kids, we have other things going on. Is this time, was that appropriate, or is it too late, or?
I would like to do earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would agree with like 8. I would be good with 8.
Okay.
7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with earlier. I'm just like you guys. I got a senior in high school playing baseball and driving on the road 4 or 5 days a week. So, how about we'll try to shoot? Can we do this? I know that's kind of ending, at least for my schedule. Can we try to shoot for an 8 o'clock next Tuesday and try to keep it to about 45 minutes or so, and then we can kind of, as things are going, we'll move it up a little sooner. Does that work for everybody?
Sounds good.
Works.
Works good. Mr. Belcher, just to give you a heads up, I have my last baseball game. So I coach high school baseball. I have my last game next Tuesday. So I might be about 5 or 10 minutes late if you're okay with that.
No, I'm good with that. I understand. And now, as long as everybody's okay, that I might have to pull over and jump on my phone and jump on this as well. But it's a joy of being a parent, and it's kind of what we do. So, all right. I enjoyed meeting all of you, and I'll tell you, I enjoyed hearing what's going on in different parts of the state. We're all in the same boat right now, and it's how can we make our profession the greatest profession ever. That's why we got into it. And when I talk about we find true north again. How do we get everybody to find that true north, or why we first went into this? So, and I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to be trying to solve and trying to be working towards. So, any other questions? Any other comments? I want to make sure we're all on the same page or ready. And my job is, my biggest thing is I want to prepare you to be best principal you can be when you get ready to go. I want you to be ready to answer those interview questions and be prepared. So that's what I will do, and it might not be more of your traditional kind of way of doing it. I'm the acting superintendent. I want to prepare you to hire you. So anything there that you need from me, feel free to ask me, email me. I can even give you my cell, and we can schedule time. We want to talk. Whatever you want to do, I'll be open for that. Okay.
Is there any way that we could post like on the discussion board, just so some of us can talk about like our hours and get some ideas that maybe others have used? Like, I know this is my first class in the program, but others have already done a few courses. So I think it might be good to collaborate and see how somebody maybe did one of the standards.
Yes, I think that would be a great idea.
Okay.
Would it be helpful that maybe if I'll just put that on one of the, maybe add an extra message board with those kind of things that you can participate in?
That would be awesome.
Holly,
Okay.
I have a whole list I can share. So of like suggestions, not stuff that I've done all of it, but just of like suggestions for each standard that I can post.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
You guys are already acting like principals. You help each other out. Well, that's good. Okay, I will add that to it, and feel free to email me, call me. I'll leave my word one of the things, and we'll set it up for look. Were you okay with this email invite, Google invite like this? Okay, and I'll just kind of keep the same things, and what I'll do is I'll just set a reoccurring one. And that way, all those resources stay where they're at. Okay. And then tomorrow I'll post this video. Well, Jennifer, you could send that to me, and I'll get it posted on, and that way. And like I said, if you can't make one of these, don't feel like you have to. What you can do is we'll post them, and you can be able to watch them from there. Okay, watch them at a later time. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I enjoyed meeting with you. I just enjoyed discussing education with you. So until next week, I'll see you all next week then, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.